Hey Strong Girls, I'm Molly Herford, sports journalist, ultra runner, cyclist, and author, and founder of Strong Girl Publishing.
And I'm Dr. Sasha Golish, executive director of Yellow Running Shoes, a researcher, engineer, elite runner, and your BFF who's breaking down the science of smashing barriers in women's sports.
Think of us as the intersection of science and culture for women and girls in sport. Each week, we'll dissect the latest headlines and cutting-edge research on female athletes.
Debunk myths about girls in sport. Talk about how hormones affect performance at every age, to the latest research in sports science around mental performance, nutrition, equipment, and so much more.
And we'll spotlight badass girls and women who are rewriting the rules of the game, sometimes literally.
Expect it to be nerdy.
And occasionally TMI.
But it will always be honest.
Whether you're a strong girl yourself or you're raising one, this show is for you. Welcome to Strong Girl Talk,
where sports science meets sisterhood.
Hello. Welcome back to Strong Girl Talk. I'm Molly Herford here with Dr. Sasha Golish. Sasha, how are you?
It's snowing and I'm actually I'm in a Nordic ski sweater. I've got my long johns on. I'm so happy with, and I've gone winter running. So Molly, I'm so happy. How are you?
You are just wintering it up. I love that for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. On the note of skiing, I have to tell you, so on Saturday, instead of doing my proper long run, I decided I would do a ski run brick workout. So I just did, my usual cross country ski just on the trail. So flat trail, terrible cross country skier. So it's just very muscular running basically, but with long projectiles on my feet. So
don't forget the stabbies at the end.
Yeah. So yeah, with stabby poles in my hands. So I did a long ski, and then I went back and switched into my running shoes and did just a short 3-mile run. When I tell you that the start of that run felt that my muscles felt like I was at mile 70 of a 100-miler because of the fatigue in my muscles. I was like, this is probably the best workout that I could have possibly done for myself, because aerobically I felt totally fine.
Right.
I'm not really tired from it or anything, but I got that stimulus of just exhausted, heavy muscles. So while it sucked in the moment, I was so jazzed about it afterwards.
I just wish people could see your face right now, because most people would be like, oh, that sounds so horrible. And you're like, I'm so happy about being so tired while running.
We've talked about mental toughness here. I've talked about it on my other podcast, all that. You know that in general, I do not consider myself to be terribly mentally tough. I just happen to be good at doing things that others perceive to be mentally tough. So whenever I do something that actually feels very hard for me, I am thrilled. And this was one of those occasions.
Okay, so so then here's what also makes you unique. Most people don't, they'll do the mental toughness training, but begrudgingly. And I love how excited you are about that. That's aspirational. And by all means, I'm also here for the days where you're like, okay, that was really irritating and annoying. But also we can find joy in working on those things. But we don't often connect those skills. Anyways, you make me happy.
Oh, you make me happy. We're crushing it. We're doing good here. 2026, it's happening.
Really? It's not 2025? I don't know how many times I can still write 2025.
Oh, I know, right? 2026 just feels weird. I don't know.
So, it's January 21st when we're recording. This is going to come out on the 23rd. So are we now at the point where we stop saying happy 2026?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what day it was. I think it's the 13th or so that you kind of officially are okay, it's no longer Happy New Year. How are your holidays? We are just firmly planted in the next year.
So let's change that, right? Feminists, I was listening to a podcast on the way home, became a word in the 1970s. And okay, so let's change, you say Happy New Year until after Blue Monday. Why? Because Blue Monday is this fabricated, maybe pseudoscience holiday of it's a challenging time. And okay, fine, it is. It's a dark Monday. Your Visa bill is, your credit card bill. Let me not give a shout out to Visa, although you get a lot of money. Your credit card bill is due, right? Often you've sort of broken your resolutions, and it's hard. So if we say Happy New Year all the way through there, maybe we can change that Blue Monday is this I don't know, fun day. I also like the color blue, so maybe that's just me.
You're just psyched on Blue Monday. You're like, I can wear blue. This is great. That's what this means, right?
Right? Yeah. So it plans my wardrobe for me. I'm like, what did I wear? I was wearing blue. Actually, now that I think about it, I was wearing blue.
Okay,
unintentionally.
on the note of mental toughness, let's shout out our favorite sports psychologist. Erin Ayala has a new podcast over on Feisty Media. So she is now the podcast host on the Women's Performance Podcast. If you're not already listening to that one, please go give it a listen. Erin is the absolute best. We've had her on this pod. I've had her on the Consummate Athlete a bunch of times. I've talked to her for a billion different articles. She is brilliant. She is wonderful. And I'm obsessed with her new podcast.
Well, and also connectable, right? Like I think that's what I admire so much about her and the work that she does with her team is she knows that she doesn't have all the answers. She's happy to connect you with others, but she gives you the last podcast she did had so much like we do, like great practical advice of like how do you and I just more conversations like this in this space is better. We're not competing with each other. We lift each other up. So, yeah, go give her a listen.
100%. Also, in exciting news, our Mirror Diaries series, Book One, Mirror Diaries Finding Grace by Vanessa Kuhlbeck, a body image researcher at the University of Toronto. That is finally out, available now, along with its accompanying workbook, Beyond the Mirror. So, if you have a young person in your life who needs a little bit of help with their self-confidence, their self-compassion, their body image, really just anything around their identity and sense of self, this book is such a cool resource for bringing this fictional story that's also very research backed and actionable, but in like a very sneaky way. So we've had a young hockey team go through it, doing a book club. They loved it. I'm, yeah, really, really excited for where this book is going. So you can check that out. We'll include a link in the show notes or just head to stronggirlpublishing.com. And then before we get into the actual thing we're talking about today, Sasha, what were you at today? What's this new research situation happening here?
Um, more Sasha nerding out. I did send an email this week called Sasha Nerds Out on a Spreadsheet. So I got my glasses on, channeling my inner nerd. But I believe it's out of the University of Calgary. I will figure out how to share more about this, but it's the Female, Women, and Girl Athlete Health and Safety Community of Practice. Today's panel was hosted by a researcher out of the University of Western, Jenna Schultz. She's a runner. She's a PhD. The panel was outstanding. There's that pretzel. It was a mix of coaches at the community level, the collegiate level, the NSO level, in Olympic-based sports, non-Olympic-based sports. There were athletes, there were practitioners like sports psychologists and physiologists and physical therapists, I think. Anyways, really well-rounded conversation. These conversations are going to happen once a month. I would guess the third Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern, noon Mountain Time. And it's a way to talk about the research that exists for female, women, and girl athletes, but also the gaps and also practical knowledge, I guess, from whoever joins as the panel. It was, anyways, I loved listening to it and was then so excited to bring that to this conversation today.
Very, very cool. Now, is this something anyone can listen to?
Yeah, by the sounds of it, they're really trying to grow this community of practice. And it's not just listen to, it's actually webinar style where you can submit questions. And they took I think they had an opening question. I missed it because I couldn't find the Zoom passcode. It took me like 5 minutes to find it, but they were just answering audience questions. So it really was about the people attending. So I'm really going to recommend this. And I'm just so excited to see more things like this happening.
Super cool. Yeah, we'll include a link in the show notes. And I will shout out stuff like this. If you are someone who is a coach who needs to have like continuing education credits, a lot of things like this, if you actually submit them to your provincial or national governing body or whoever's like in charge of the checking the CEUs, the continuing education credits, a lot of the time they'll actually let you use stuff like that. So I think it's a fantastic, way to get some great information.
Love it. Wholeheartedly agree. Okay, one more thing before we jump into talking about the Courtney Book Club. The Olympics are coming and the Paralympics are coming. So Olympics come first. There's a pretty good chance I'm getting on an airplane to go see them with Morgan.
You're hilarious.
I think. Well, she's booked us a place where the Nordic skiing is, which we know I'm Nordic skiing obsessed. I think we're gonna go see curling, and there's one other thing that I can't think of off the top. Anyways, Olympics are coming. It's fun. I was thinking, I'm actually gonna put you on the spot, and we'd love listeners to like let us know. I was thinking we could do kind of a history of the Winter Olympics and then talk through the different events and like some of the sport science behind them, some of the history behind them, some of the inequities still behind them. I thought that could be a really. I mean, Sasha really wants to have a nerd out on it. If I'm being honest.
I was like, look, I can interview you on that, and you can be the one to nerd out and educate me because, as everyone knows, I am much more of a summer sport kind of gal who recently came to any of this winter nonsense. So it will be very enlightening for me too, but I love that idea.
Can I teach you to alpine ski in the winter nonsense? Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. I draw the line at my very poor cross-country skiing. That's really all I need to get through the winter, and I'm perfectly happy.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. About making you smile.
I'm always smiling when we get to chat. And oh my gosh, was I smiling so much when we had Kate Courtney join us for a Shred Girls book club where we had partnered up with She Sends. We did kind of a bit of cross promotion for the book club. We donated some money to we donated a percentage of profits to She Sends, and we had a bunch of young girls reading Shred Girls Book 3, Jen's Bumpy Ride. So anyone who's read it, you might remember that's the book where they are on a bike packing adventure followed by a gravel race. But the real kind of conflict is that Jen has been invited to join this really fast local women's team. And she has to choose between them and the Shred Girls, which is her team with her friends, but it's a very casual team. They don't all live together, they don't get to train together necessarily. But she loves them. She loves Allie. She loves Lindsay. And this new team will maybe make her a faster cyclist. But the question is, will it make her a better person, a better friend? Will she actually have fun? And I'm not going to give away all the spoilers, but I thought that was the perfect book to read because it's really about Jen figuring out what success looks like for her and redefining it and figuring out what kind of team she wants to be on. And when I thought about that book, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to have Kate Courtney talk about this because Kate Courtney recently started the She Sends Foundation. She started racing with that as her kind of title sponsor, with that logo, pulling together her own more privateer program after years of being on factory teams and being part of these much larger, I hesitate to say more professional, but more supported networks. Instead, she decided to pull back and create her own network, whole team from scratch. And that's not an easy thing. And she's had amazing success. In the past year, she won mountain bike marathon world championships. She set the course record at Leadville, which is an incredible feat, especially while also still racing short cross-country mountain bike races at the same time and doing quite well in those. She's just really an all-around phenom on the mountain bike, has been for a long time. She was the 2018 mountain bike cross-country world champion in a race that just like stunned everyone. Like I would say if people had been sport betting on that and you'd bet on her, you would have won so much money.
Sports betting wasn't a thing then, but yeah, sure, fair enough.
So she is a phenomenal athlete, but she's also just a remarkable human and has really put so much effort into getting more girls on bikes, getting more girls excited about bikes. She is just such a, just wonderful human. And I was so excited that we got to have her come do this Zoom book club with us where we got to talk about all of these things. It was so fun. And seeing the girls get to ask her some questions, and you could really just see wheels turning in their heads as we talked. It was phenomenal.
I love this for you. I love the community you build. Like you don't just write books about it, Molly. You really live the values that you talk about. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sasha. You're the best. This was so fun. And I really want to do more of these kind of book clubs, whether it's virtual or in real life. I think this is going to be a big part of how I want Strong Girl Publishing to grow, is really not just growing our authors, but also growing our communities of readers and connecting them with each other. Really excited. And we wanted to bring you just a few snippets from that conversation. Yeah, so I think we should get into this with Kate Courtney. And I will add, this is the recorded book club conversation. So it's a little less, it's different than our normal podcast. So remember, this was a Zoom with a bunch of girls and all of us talking about goals and success and all of that. So this is maybe a great one to play with your teen or tween in the car. And, they can hear from two-time world champion Kate Courtney. All right, let's get into it. Enjoy. Okay, so in Jen's Bumpy Ride, the big decision that she's trying to make the whole book is this idea of, is she going to stick with the Shred Girls, or is she going to go to this new, bigger professional team in her area? Even though, like, she doesn't really love the woman who's in charge of it. She's kind of mean. She's kind of tough, but it's going to give her better opportunities as a cyclist. And, that's a really, really hard decision. So, Kate, I wanted to go to you and ask you, when you've had to make big decisions about your team, how do you think about making decisions? Are you someone who like lists stuff out? Do you have to talk to a friend, talk to many friends? How does making decisions work for you?
Yeah, so there's a researcher called her name's Dr. Ellen Langer, and she wrote a book. It's called The Mindful Body, and she talks about not making the right decision, but making the decision right, which means that given the information that you have at the time, including but not limited to the opinions around you, what the people that care about you think, the information that you have on the team, on maybe this not so great person who's in charge in the case of Jen, and what the opportunities might be based on how you feel. Like, you take all of that into account and make the decision for the right reasons. And then, as with all things in life, more information becomes available, and it either goes the way maybe you thought or it doesn't. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it was the wrong decision, right? Because once you like take that juncture in the road, you can't go back and know what would have happened the other way. So I think it's very important to like make those decisions for the right reason and to understand why.
And I mean, you made a pretty massive decision when you started She Sends Racing and left kind of the factory team thing to start your own thing. So I think a lot of people really want to hear about starting She Sends and how you thought about that and how it, changed how you were thinking about racing.
Yeah, so She Sends Racing is relatively new. I started this kind of alternative, more private peer program last year. And the real idea behind it was, again, a curiosity and a bit of an experiment to see if it might be possible to combine my passion for racing in this phase of my career with what I really view as kind of a mission and purpose to connect with other girls in mountain biking and to inspire other women and girls, not just to, give cycling a try, but to see cycling as a vehicle to help them take more risk and build confidence and community in a way that can elevate many different parts of life. So the idea was to essentially start my own program and then give that kind of like title sponsor or the center spot on my jersey to the foundation. So my jersey actually next year will say She Sends Foundation, because I think that is a better representation than She Sends Racing. But again, we learn every year and have new things to put into practice. But yeah, for me, there were kind of two parts to that. It was really about determining the environment that I thought would give me the best setup to reach my racing goals. I don't plan to race forever. And so I know that I'm kind of in this like second part of my career and really want to set myself up in an environment that I know will work for me, and to be able to use all that I've learned from all of these little experiences and all of these different team environments to really structure something that will work for me. And then also to really align that with giving back. So all the partners that I work with give financially and in other ways to the foundation. I'm able to ride a bike that gets sold and supports the foundation. I'm in a jersey that I get to help design and that is sold and helps the foundation. And so there's just all these ways that I was able to really connect every single piece of racing with what really fuels and drives me as an athlete and as a person.
Okay, so speaking of finding communities to be your best self, I know not everyone has a local NICA team or even a local, girls team around. So how do you think, or what's your advice for any of these girls who don't necessarily have a team around? How should they think about looking for a team, whether it's other riders or actually just people in their corner?
Oh, completely. I think there's a couple different types of teams. For me, I can speak from my experience, and then maybe I'll give the advice and what we've learned through She Sends about how to maybe start those like little steps of finding other girls in your community or other people to train with or other team members that might be able to support you. So for me, there's kind of these like three pieces of a team, I would say. There's my professional team that supports me, from my coach to my strength coach to my sports psychologist, my nutritionist, and these people that are part of the team that helps me be really prepared to do what I do on race day. And that's one way that you can start to build in structure, like having a coach, having someone that helps you be accountable and know how to structure things. Like if racing is your goal, that's a really helpful structure to have in place, and a really great way to build kind of your board of advisors for your cycling career, where you have these people that are really loyal to your athletic goals and that are really there to help support you in reaching them. I would say then there's kind of like your community around sport. For me, I've often found either that's like teammates in the past, or for me now, a lot of my community around sport is in training partners. And that can be actually really challenging. I think you find people that, work really well for a certain period or for a certain kind of phase of your training or living in a certain place, and you like get in these great routines of riding together. But often it takes a lot of effort to build that community and that sense that you're kind of a part of a group that meets regularly, especially as an athlete who travels a lot, for me. And then I would say the other part of team is kind of the like personal relationships and community. So for me, that's my family, that's my husband, that's my neighbors and my friends that, might not be on a bike ride with me, but are certainly meeting me for dinner after. And I think all of those elements are important to feeling like you're very connected with people through what you do. I think that cycling can be really isolating. You do it alone a lot, especially if you're training. And like those three kind of team elements can really be a part of allowing the sport to bring you closer to other people and to make sure that you have support kind of on all different sides. So in terms of, this is a very long answer, so I'm sorry, but on
I love
terms
it.
of the, okay, good. In terms of the community around sport for girls, that's always been a challenge, and a lot of the reason that I wanted to start She Sends Foundation. I was actually the only girl on my NICA high school team. It was, at first like 5 boys in me, and later, 10 boys in me. So it was I was outnumbered. And didn't often have female athletes to train with. And I think that has become something that I've put a lot of effort into, in part because I was looking for that connection at that age as well. And I think there are these like grand ideas of big teams and big programs, but at the end of the day, I think what's most important is just having other women and girls that you can relate to and ride with, who make it fun and who you can share the experience with. And that can be through a local NICA team. That can be through a local bike shop. That can be through a local club. It could mean, getting 2 of your friends together and doing a weekly ride and giving yourself a fun name. Like it doesn't have to be overly complicated, but I think a lot of times these movements and groups that feel really robust often start really small with just a couple of friends going out together, and then it picks up steam.
Okay, so now let's talk racing though. So in the book, Jen's character in all of the Shred Girls books. She is winning obsessed. It's her thing. She wants to win at all costs. Uh, Team store butts. Okay, hilarious. A plus Harper. So we want to win. Jen wants to win at all costs. Otherwise, like she just isn't interested in racing her bike. And I'll admit to you that this is actually Jen is like loosely based on. I remember doing a series of interviews where I was talking to young women and I was asking them what got them excited about riding their bikes. And one of the categories of young women I talked to said winning. That was their thing. That was what they wanted to do. That's what made them want to race their bike. And I will tell you now that none of them are racing anymore because winning at the end of the day can't be everything. So, Kate, we would love to know over the years, how has your idea of what success on the bike and race performance looks like? How has it evolved and changed? And, what does success look like for you now?
Completely. I think for me, as I've raced longer and longer, I think you come to a place of being less binary in your thinking. So what I mean by that is it's not that you either are in the win at all costs, lose the love of cycling, only in it for a results side, or you're just there to have fun. Like there's a middle ground where like multiple things can be true at once, and winning can both be very important to you and also in a way not matter. And that might sound kind of counterintuitive, but I think that is one of the like paradoxes that makes sport and cycling really special, and that you have to kind of balance and keep alive and spend time thinking about, especially if you have high level performance ambitions. Because at the end of the day, like while many of us who are drawn to sport are very competitive, it's not the thing that I loved about sport to begin with, right? Like I loved being out on my bike, how far it could take me, challenging myself. I loved exploring Mount Tam with my dad. And I actually really loved like the way in which competition helped me become a better cyclist. And I would say part of allowing cycling to get the best out of you is like wanting to win and working really hard for that goal. But at the same time, realizing that that's not the most meaningful necessarily part of sports. So I think it's like a both and, right? Like you can want to win. It's not a bad thing to be competitive. But if that's all you have, it is not a sustainable or particularly enjoyable career. And you might lose the very thing that, you loved about the sport to begin with.
Ooh, so well said. And okay, that leans into this last chunk I wanted to talk to you about is goal setting. So with everything you just said, I think that's fantastic and is also very tricky when it comes to setting our outcome and process
Mhm.
goals and kind of figuring out what we want to put on our, 2026 goals list. So, we're in new year territory, so I think we're all still thinking a little bit about goal setting. So, we'd love to hear from you. How do you think about goal setting for
Yeah,
races?
absolutely. Yeah. I would say like one of the ways that I think about goal setting is the difference between process oriented and outcome oriented goals. And I think that you need to have both. So an outcome oriented goal might be a position in a race. It might be reaching a certain level in the sport. It might be getting on a team, like something that is dependent on your hard work and is a stretch that you're reaching for, and that is measurable and specific. But often with those outcome related goals that you do not have complete control over. Winning a race, for example, has so many variables. Every person in the race wants to win. And so those outcome goals have this degree of kind of uncertainty and uncontrollability, but also are like the moonshot to kind of strive for. And then the way we or at least within my team, structure kind of the more important goals is through process-oriented goals. So, for example, let's say you wanted to race cross country at a very high level, and you can set an outcome goal of, being on the podium in a NICA race. In order to do that, what would you need to do as an athlete? So, process-oriented goal might be something around practicing your technical skills twice a week. It might be attending team practice twice a week. It might be something around mindset and spending time, dialing in the way that you approach a race from a mental perspective. It might be narrowing in on your nutrition and having a really good nutrition plan. And even as I'm saying these things, you can imagine how each of these process goals can even be broken down further. So even within getting a good nutrition plan, that might involve many steps. That might be working with a nutritionist, trying things out, trying different plans at different races until you get to a point where you feel really good about achieving that process goal. So while I think it's important to have both, I spend most of my time thinking about and working on the process goals that ultimately are what structure my days and are honestly the biggest contributor to evolving as an athlete in person.
Love that. Love that. And here's my next question is, how do you think about celebrating process goals? Because outcome goals, you cross a finish line, everyone's cheering. It's sort of it celebrates itself basically. So how do you think about actually celebrating the little process goals?
It's a very good question, and I think it's something that you have to be a bit intentional about, because I agree that it can feel like it's hard to even feel that progress sometimes. So I think that's actually where coaches and writing things down and kind of like having a process for tracking and understanding these process goals can be really helpful, because it's often easy to lose sight of how much better you are than you were 2 weeks ago at something that you've been working on. So I think measuring them, being intentional about how you're thinking about those goals. But I also think that for me personally, when I get the process goals right, they're pretty intrinsically rewarding. So let's say I really want to work on technical skills. Hitting a jump really, really well, feels really good when you do it. And I think ultimately the goal of having these big kind of pursuits, you could take the pursuit of mountain bike racing as one big pursuit, is that it fills your day with a lot of these meaningful challenges and these moments where you have accomplishments that make you feel good. They make you feel good about yourself, about the work that you put in. They're just fun. And so I think if you structure those goals well enough, they can be really rewarding, even just in the moment of feeling good about how you're doing something.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, Kate, before we let you go, let us know what's going on with She Sends Foundation. Obviously, you're racing again this year, but any other fun upcoming stuff happening with She Sends?
Yeah, I think we just did our big fall fundraising campaign, so we're hoping to grow a bit more next year and support more programs. We do work with NICA quite a bit, so I know some of you said that you're involved in NICA, and we do the GRIT grants every year, so hopefully some of your teams will benefit from those. But yeah, we're really looking to continue to grow and do more grant programs and get more girls on bikes. So excited to continue the work this year. It feels nice not to have a whole big thing to start, but rather just to keep working away.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Strong Girl Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely head over to wherever you listen to podcasts and rate, review, and of course, subscribe so you never miss another episode. And head over to stronggirlpublishing.com to check out all of the books by Strong Girl Publishing's authors, including Molly Herford, Misha Powell, and so many more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.